Welcome. Intro video, John Anderson's baseball data with Excel course. I've done this with Python, and I think it's a good idea to do an Excel one as well. So this lesson's free. That's why you're here checking it out. It's not really going to be a lesson. It's just going to be an intro, a feeler, real quick video here to show you what the experience feels like in terms of what you get if you purchase this thing. Excel, very important tool for the real world. I definitely, if you're going to be in any kind of office job, any kind of job at all, in any kind of company, there's going to be a lot of Excel. The world is run on data. Data comes in tables, and Microsoft Excel is the main table data management system, I'd say, out there. Everybody's familiar with Excel. You probably used it, but you want to get more into it and more skilled with it, because you can legitimately be there are careers for this stuff. And baseball data is certainly conducive to work with Excel. So if you know some Excel tips and tricks, you can really do a lot of cool stuff with it. I know a good amount of Excel, obviously, but there's some of this stuff in here that I don't even know. I couldn't even tell you. It's super powerful, crazy good tool, able to handle so much data. So I just wanted to give this free quick video here to show just kind of how it feels, and then if it feels like you can learn from this kind of format and from my talking, then you can make your decision. But yeah, basically every lesson will be a screen share of me, so you'll watch the video, you'll get any data that I have that I'm working with at the beginning. Like, we'll start with a data table, and I'll show one here in a minute. We'll pick something, and then we'll learn Excel that way, and it'll all be with baseball data. The best way to learn something is to learn it with data that you are interested in, that you know well. That's how I learned coding. It was always baseball data. Pretty much all the tech stuff that I use and what I do on my Substack, I learned through baseball data. So I think it works. All right. So this is Excel, of course. I'm on a Mac. I don't have a personal Windows computer, and I figured it best not to use my work resource for that. This is personal. So we're going to be in Excel, and it might look a little bit differently. I will try to do my best to give the Windows equivalent of whatever I'm using. So if you only have Windows, it should still work fine. And if there is anything that is definitely different, I'll make it work. I'll show how to do everything in Mac and Windows, but for the most part, everything is exactly the same. Just the buttons might look different or something like that, and the menus might be a little bit different, but we'll figure that out. So don't worry about that. If that shouldn't be a deal breaker, basically. So let's just start it off. We're going to do the very, very basics of Excel. Like, what is it? I'm guessing if you're interested in it all in this, you've already had some experience with Excel and you know the basics. But just in case, let's get us some data, okay? And we're going to go right to Fangraphs, because why, where better to go? Every time, what maybe you have never messed with is this export data function. And you can see this on most websites. Most times you're looking at a table of data, there's going to be an export function here, especially if the website is nice enough to give that to us. And baseball data is typically totally free and public information, so you can get the export. So what we'll do here is let's get some standard hitting stats for this year, just to get something in Excel and start to look at it. Just kind of a Fangraphs tip here. A good way to get, I want all of it. Give me everything. So give me a minimum playing time of 1 plate appearance, and show me infinity on the page size. So that's a little bit ridiculous when you're in real life, because you're scrolling the whole way down, but in Excel it'll work nicely. So that's kind of a tip. I didn't just want the top 30. I didn't want just qualified. I'm setting my minimum playing time to 1 there, and then just give me everything all at once, so I don't have to go through pages and export multiple times. That goes right into my downloads folder. What we have here is a CSV file. Let me show you here. So I got a lot of junk in here, of course, but Fangraphs leaderboard.csv. What CSV means is comma, separated value. This is a little more advanced, I guess. We don't really need to get into it now, but basically it comes out in this format, and Excel knows what to do with that. Anytime it sees a comma, it just puts that in its own column. So if you're following along in this lesson, it's possible that your computer doesn't know. You might have opened up a file like this, and it looks crazy and weird, and you can't do anything with it. Just open Excel, and then go to File, Open, and go to your downloads folder and choose that CSV, and then Excel will know what to do with it. It's possible that you need to do text to columns. We're probably going to get into that in another lesson. Yeah, it's not the time for that right now, I guess, but just in case you want to follow along with this, go to text to columns, delimiters, use the comma, and then hit the finish button, and then that'll separate those out. So, all right, so here's our first big data table here. What we have, an Excel file. I'm going to just try to keep this as basic as possible, and wrap this up in the next 10 minutes or something, because this is an intro free video just to give the feel of it, like I said. Data, Excel is tables, right? A table of data is defined by rows and columns. In your Excel sheet, you should have columns labeled with letters and rows labeled with numbers. They go down as far as you need. I remember back in like 2010 or something, there was a limit. It could only go to like 50,000 rows or 150,000 rows or something like that. But now I'm pretty sure there's no limit. You could probably even add more, but if you see the bottom here, it's already over 1 million rows. So we're not going to, there certainly are data sources out there with more than 1 million rows, but we're not going to be worrying about that. All right. So we have our column headers, and what I did instinctively already is put a filter on, which I just always do. But anyway, to start to work with any of this, it's using a filter. And then first, another thing that I kind of have to do for my own sanity is center all the numbers. I can't deal with left aligned numbers. Maybe you're not like that, but so you can, if you're following along or whatever you saw, I just used these to just center those numbers to make it look more like what I'm used to. But let's do a filter, and then we'll just start to kind of show you how Excel basically works. So we can put a filter on. You saw what I did there. Just click. You really don't have to. You can click anywhere, and it knows. Okay, I'll default to the top. But if you highlight a row and you put the filter on there, then it actually will filter on that. But that's obviously the wrong thing to do here, because our column titles are up here. But just hit the filter button and it'll know what to do. I sorted by home runs, because who doesn't want to know who leads the league in home runs? So here's, if you drop down any menu, and this will be a little bit different on PC, I believe, on Windows. It'll look a little bit different, but it's the same kind of thing. You can either select values, click, who's got 20 or more home runs. I can just check, show me all the rows with these values in them. There's your results. A much better way to do that would be to do greater than or equal to. You have all these logical functions as well there. Top 10, bottom 10, above average, below average. That's kind of cool. I kind of do that math for you. Greater than, equal to, less than, etc. Between, there's kind of all that stuff that you could possibly filter by, and that's how you do that. Really easy. To clear it, you hit the clear filter button, or you can just hit the filter button again and remove it, add it back if you want. So I don't know, if you want to see, let's look for 2020 hitters, who has greater than or equal to 20 home runs. Well, let's not do 2020 because we're in the middle of a season here. So let's look for 1010. We should actually have some hits. And that greater than or equal to 10 home runs, greater than or equal to 10 steals. Here's your names, filter by, I don't know who's done it the most efficiently, right? We went an ascending sort on plate appearances. Ascending meaning going up. So as our eyes go down, the numbers are ascending up. Descending would be the opposite, start with the top number and descend downward. So really, Kyle Tucker here would kind of be your most impressive hit, so then you could go ahead and report out or tweet out whatever you want to do. The player with 10 homers and 10 steals this year in the least amount of time is Kyle Tucker, who's done it with just 262 plate appearances, or 60 games, 214 ABs, whatever your preferred number is there. Let's look at this. Just something else quickly. It's not a Fangraphs course, so we're not going to get hung up on stuff that's specific to Fangraphs. But the difference between this, so name ASCII. I don't know what ASCII means. That's at one point I did. Basically, it's telling you about the actual text. So what we can see here is these names, right? They have Jose Ramirez. Some of these non-English names will have accent characters and whatnot. And that can cause problems in the computer world because a lot of websites and other web, basically websites and web things, if they see these characters, they don't know what to do with it, and because it's not a standard character. So what Fangraphs does, which is relatively new, is they give you another column that just replaces all of those. It replaces the E with the accent mark with just a typical English E, which is nice. So what I like to do is cut this, move it here. So a cut means take it from here, and then I hit paste or insert, and that put it where I wanted it to do it. So that's how you can move columns around and whatnot. So now I have 2 name columns. I don't want the one with the accents, so I just go ahead and delete. And then we can just change that to name. So, you know, just basic moving stuff around, sorting, filtering. This course is going to get way more detailed than this. I kind of assume that everybody watching this will know this stuff. So don't think this is going to be just, you know, there's going to be one lesson of basics probably, and then get into some much more advanced, into more useful things. Another thing, just to say that, like, I don't want to see a 301.8868 batting average, so we can go in here and format cells. And formatting cells will probably be worth a good 5 to 10 minutes in its own, not its own lesson, but part of a lesson, definitely a carve out for formatting cells. I want to just cut this down to the typical 3 decimal places that we see, so I can do that. That'll just cut that down to 3 decimal places to make it look much more like what you're used to. Also, probably even more preferably, is you can do a custom, and you can just kind of tell it. You don't have to put in any specific numbers here. You just use zeros, and you can say, this is the format I want. So right now, the one I selected changes this to 0.000. Means give me the whole number, and then give me a period, and then give me 3 decimal places. But if I just want to start with a decimal place, which I do because there is no batting average higher than 1, then we can just do that, and then it'll put that in the, you know, that's really what we're used to seeing there. Got to be careful with that, right? Because if we would sort batting average to 1 decimal place, we're not going to know much. We're going to know that almost everybody's either at 0.3 or 0.2, because everybody will be between 0.2 and 0.3. It'll round to 1, and that doesn't tell you anything. So with batting average, you need to go at least 3 decimal places. And then just, you know, we have undo and redo at the top. Since I just changed something, I can just hit undo, and it'll undo that last thing I did, and we'll get it right back to where it should be. So, yeah, some other stuff. I mean, we just want to, I don't know, let's say you're a Braves fan, you filter right to the Braves team. You can hide some stuff. So let's say I want to tweet out, here are the Braves home runs leaders, or I guess it was already sorted in this way. Let's just do RBIs to change it up. So I have the filter on, I go to RBIs, I hit descending, that'll move them around. And if I want to not show other stuff, I can go hide columns, right? I highlighted those columns I don't want to see for this. I missed runs, but we'll go ahead and hide that as well. And now you can kind of, maybe if you want to take a screenshot or something and send that out, or whatever you're trying to do, that's a way to visualize things and get things a little bit more compact. To unhide, just highlight the columns that were between, or the columns on the columns that you hid, go to the 2 that those are between, highlight that, unhide, they all come back. Stuff like that. So yeah, you can make new columns. You could type in your own data here if you wanted something else, and there's all, you know, we could get into like how to just cut off people's first names, and, you know, just want to show the last name or something like that. You can do that with a new cell and make a formula, whatever. Formulas, of course, are a big part of Excel. Let's just do a really basic one here to show you that. So I insert a new column here, and let's say that we want to see who leads the league in runs plus RBI. So I made a new column. I'm going to call it what I want, so this will be R plus RBI. And again, very basic. You probably know this if you have any Excel experience at all. But to do math, we start a new cell with an equals sign, and then we're going to tell it what we want to do. So for this column, I want it to be the sum of K2 plus L2, and that will add those 2 together and give you the result, 121. So I want to fill that out. The nice thing, of course, I don't have to type that in for every cell. I can hover over this little bottom square in the bottom right corner. You see the square there? Once you hover over that, your cursor changes to this black plus sign, and you can drag it down. You can drag it like that, and for however long you drag it, it'll apply that to the same row. It's smart enough to know, okay, do this. But really the quickest way to do it is just double click on this, and it'll just shoot it down the whole way. As long as it has numbers to the left, it goes ahead and does that for everybody. So filter that. Go again, we see Aaron Judge, Jose Ramirez, Juan Soto at the top. Cool. Say non-intentional walks, just to, I don't know, IBB, that's not really a stat, but so Judge has 57 walks, but 5 are intentional. So if you want to show unintentional walks, you can do a minus there, kind of just the same thing, just a different operator, and then sort that. So Juan Soto has walked 58 times, and none of them intentionally. So that's an example of some subtraction there. And then you have multiplication, division, of course, too, and all the basic math stuff and all the advanced math stuff as well. Lots to get into, but this is how it'll look. This is how I sound. Not the most interesting voice, but I think I'm good enough at explaining things and showing things that this will be a pretty useful course if you want to learn Excel and if you like baseball data, which I already know you do because you're watching this video. So that's kind of the intro here. I hope you will listen to me later, I guess. Okay, talk to you next time.